7:04. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. We have a lot of changes on the
Do I need to do roll call again?
yes,
Okay. Van Meter here, Ferris,
here.
Pop here, Northwood.
Here.
Nielsen.
Here.
Thank you. The minutes, number 6, it says the year of 2023, that should be 2024. I'm gonna explain when we get to correspondence, the Herb and Pop property packet, because that wasn't handed out. I'm gonna just explain why it's there. In addition, there is the insurance claim letter and the Grant Sawa letter. And so, we'll be talking about those.
And everybody also received the Grand Traverse Regional Community Foundation letter, so we need to include that.
I haven't received that.
I
Where's
think
that?
it was in your pack, the rest of us have.
Nobody got it in their packet though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Grand Traverse, I don't have it. Community Foundation.
Right. And did you also say the FEMA plan?
I saved that for next year. I mean,
Next month?
next
Okay.
month.
All right.
And then under number 10, fire and rescue, I put the contracts. And then down on number 13, under the budget, second dot there, remove the FOIA coordinator. Is that still hold?
Yes, yes.
Judy asked me to remove that.
We can also remove the under $25 tax collection. I'm gonna discuss that with the auditor at the audit, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I have under old business reconciliation requests. Not sure what that means.
It's not on ours.
No, it's me adding it and I can't remember what that's for. So anyway, with those additions, I thought maybe, did anyone want to discuss under new business, the attorney a little bit further?
All right, let's put it on there.
Under old business, I mean. Because we've been discussing the attorney for a while. With those amendments, I move that we accept the agenda as amended.
I support.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. So, following along, conflict of interest declarations.
Yes, I do have something to say. Today is February 2024, and from a year ago in February 2023, my interests haven't changed. I'm still a resident of this township, I'm still the treasurer, and I'm still a member of the airport board. And I still want what I believe is best for my community. I believe in 2023, I believed in the goals and the direction of the airport board, and I still do. I believe there's a constant balance between the FAA and our residents. I believe the airport can be an autonomous being without the financial handouts from the 3 entities, and my beliefs haven't changed. When determining if I should make a public declaration of conflict of interest, I consulted numerous various sources. MCL, the MTA, Michigan Municipal League, attorneys, friends, family. Many believe that my declaration was premature, but I thought it was prudent to declare a conflict because I believe that there are people who would be quick to cry impropriety. It's also no secret that I've been the target of notable dissatisfaction in the past, and that will not change. It is due to the people that seek to find anything, the tiniest appearances, even the most innocent of things, to cry outrage, that I made that declaration to appease them. In my heart of hearts, I don't believe that I possess a conflict of interest that would not benefit this township. Whether or not I'm on any board or employed by anyone will not change that I always will remain a resident here. And I will continue to work towards what I believe is best for my community.
You want to sum that up? Because your last conflict of interest statement said you were possibly not able to make an independent or objective decision. So does that stand, or does that negate that?
If I have a conflict of interest, it's in the best interest of this township.
I don't get that. If you have a conflict of interest, it should be our interest, whatever. I don't understand, I'm sorry.
That's all I'm going to say.
Any other conflicts of interest? Minutes. Approval of the draft. You have the draft in front of you. Any comments? On page 4, I've got something. When we started in on the budget, didn't we kind of go all over the place? Did you try your best to to kind of summarize all that?
The whole meeting was all over the place.
Okay,
It was very difficult to sum up a lot of the conversations.
okay.
What on page 4 are you?
Under the proposed cemetery fund, I thought it was important that somebody said that no one in the township should get the job of a cemetery administrator. That's set at 1 hour and 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Brooks? Didn't
1
think
hour-
any
1 hour and
anybody
what?
in-house.
1 hour and
6 minutes and 50 seconds. Brooks said that no one in-house should be the cemetery administrator. And then the paragraph after that, I just need some clarification. Brooke, you said you handed in 2 packets about your non-statutory duties. Is that,
In June of 2023, I presented to the board 2 additional duties. One was for unclaimed property, and then I think the other one was for, it had to do with zoning.
okay, you don't need to put that in there. I'm just asking for clarification there. And then at the top of the next page, I wasn't quite sure where we put the salaries discussion. But didn't we somewhere say that we all said that we shouldn't raise the salaries?
No, I don't think that was said. I volunteered that I wasn't asking to.
I think I listened to the thing again, and it, at some point, somebody suggested the 3.2 inflation, but we all decided that we weren't going to.
that was me. I'll check on it.
Okay. Anything else? The only other thing I have is on page 6, I think, and it says that Paris will include the priority list when she sends the signed Foster Swift letter of engagement, and I didn't hear that again. So could we check that again, just to make sure? Who is supposed to do that? And with those possibilities being checked again, can I move that we amend the minutes? Only if you find those things to be true? Do I have support for that?
Yes,
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, thank you. Next is correspondence. The first easiest one to dispatch with is the one from Folsom and Howard, basically saying that they would like to withdraw any consideration that they be our township attorney. They're a little late anyway, but I think that was due to the fact that the RV park group has hired him to represent them, so that would be conflict. The next one is Jill Marbles. Long letter there somewhere that talks about supporting the position of a cemetery administrator and supporting me in that, and also suggesting figures for compensation. And then the second half of the letter gets into compensating Judy for extra election work. So anybody else would like to comment on that? Then there's something from the invasive species network, and I didn't print the whole thing out, but it was addressed to the whole board, so I had to do that.
I'd like to make, just bring two things together, and that's.
Sure,
We just left, part here about cemetery
yeah,
administrator.
yeah.
He's currently working without pay.
Mhm.
And I think that needs to be changed. I think that there's a wonderful service that's being provided there, and the township can afford to pay it. And I think that in Jill's letter, she's talking about a compromise between 12 and 16 or $14,000. And I would like to push that back up before the board and let's discuss whether or not, you know, the service that you bring to the cemetery, and to the community it needs to be acknowledged.
So we'll leave the letter as it is under correspondence. We will bring it up again when we get to budget. Is that okay?
Fine.
Okay. Grant Sowett. This did not come to me directly. Apparently it came in December and I did not see it before. But he did address the season being extremely slow, only a few minor infractions. And then the violations at Family Dollar have been rectified, so.
Dollar General,
What did I say?
the same thing he did. He puts Family Dollar and it's Dollar General.
Oh, geez. Thank you.
Are we going to, back to the invasive species thing,
Okay,
are we going to do that agreement form that came with it
yeah, that's something to discuss.
later, or?
No, we can do it now. Aren't they asking for a letter of support or something?
Permission to be added to their list of properties for potential survey and chemical treatment.
I guess I didn't read that very carefully. I'm so sorry.
I kind of took it that this was for individual property owners, not us.
I don't know.
Was it a model for? The letter is a model, like,
No, I mean, we could fill it out and sign it. Customer name, customer's signature.
And it seems like you'd have to get, if you're gonna chemically treat anything, you gotta get permission of the landowner that may not want it.
Yeah, this
And-
might have just been something that was sent to all the landowners, and since we have an address in this
Yeah.
county, we received it, so I don't think there's anything that we do.
should I investigate and get back to you guys?
Sure.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't up on that. Okay. And then, the last letter is from the insurance company, and I need to ask you. I, talked to the attorney and she said that she had no problem with sharing this particular one. It really doesn't give any information away. And so that's up to you guys, whether you want to share it publicly or not.
I didn't think we should.
Anyone else feel
Well,
one way or the other?
Yeah, eventually we need to be transparent with the public, I mean, at some point, you know. But it may be, you know, premature right now, since this all started on Friday. I mean, we need guidance from
Right, this,
our attorney on how to handle this. Not only the board itself, but how we communicate things with the public.
At this point, I don't think that getting out in public, this particular one is, you know, harming anything. And I did post it for, I don't know, an hour or two, so
Yeah,
somebody
it was on
might
the
have
web- thought on
seen
the
it.
website.
Yeah, so, I did take it down when Brooke said that, that I missed the personal and confidential heading at the top. But I did ask the lawyer, and then to follow up so that the board knows what we're talking about here, that the lawyer is going to do just what they say in here. They are going to make a determination and get back to me within 24 to 48 hours, so I will share that with you.
Are you emailing? Are you communicating through email?
No, this was a phone call.
Okay.
So, anybody else for any other correspondence? I'll make a note here that most of the letters that are coming in about the RV park, we are trying to tell people that the RV park, the second one at the former Herban property, the Red Barn, has not it's not officially been proposed. So it's not even an issue yet. But most of the letters coming in and people showing up to the planning commission and so forth, are just wanting to express their opinions. So they've been sending me a lot of letters, and Tom, and I've been collecting them, and they will be available, but they're not really for us. It's really for the planning commission. So perfect timing, sweetie. So any other questions about
Well, the other.
Grand Traverse?
Right, right. And basically what that was, they were letting us know that $3,200 will be issued and sent our way.
I think that the original guys that made that endowment thought that they would sit there for a while and earn lots of as much interest as possible until we ever came up with a project that needed doing. But the rules of the Grand Traverse Foundation say that they have to disperse something every year. So we're getting this, and basically it's now just all draining out into our coffers. And then Brooke, who is our investment broker there, is the one earning interest on it. So that explains the $3,200. Okay, next, we have a guest. Jessica Jane, you're up.
Thank you. I apologize for being late.
No, it was.
I was presenting at the Village of Beulah before here. There's a lot of meetings tonight. So
Did you take the Benzie bus over here?
I didn't, because they're gonna close. They're getting off the road in a little bit here, so. So I come around every year and tell you what we've been up to over the last year. So I'm happy to say that 2023 was our second highest year in transit ridership. We did over 100,000 trips. The record breaker before that was in 2019 at 105,000. So fully recovered from COVID, thankfully. We've had some issues with vehicles. We face the same supply chain issues as private vehicle owners. And then also costs have gone up exponentially. It's about $35,000 more per vehicle for us at the moment. We finally received 2 new buses about 3 weeks ago after a 2.5-year wait. So our buses are getting old. 67% of them have met their useful life. Depending on what vehicle it is, that the useful life parameters are different. So the bigger cutaways, useful life is about 200,000 miles. Our transits are about 150. We're averaging right now our fleet about 190,000 miles per vehicle. So they're older, they're clankier, they're costing more in oil and fuel and all of that, but we're getting by. We have great passengers who understand and aren't complaining too much about the loud wheelchair lifts. So we've developed a service expansion plan for the next 3 to 5 years. We've heard from our passengers that they would like later evening service during the week. They've extended Saturday service. We've doubled our Saturday service, and you basically have to book your ride 3 or 4 days in advance to get it because we're just at capacity on Saturdays. And then Amy can tell you that my grandmother would really like me to run on Sundays so she can go to church. So I am trying to get Sunday service up and going, hopefully in the next few years, so that she can enjoy it, not just her, obviously, but everyone. We're exploring some new partnership opportunities. So no matter which way this NMC proposal goes. They've contacted us to see how we might be able to help potentially get students to their campuses in Grand Traverse. We're working with some larger employers to see how we might get their employees to work that live further away due to housing issues. So we're really trying to build our partnerships here in the community. That's sort of all I was gonna highlight. If anybody has questions, though, you always have really good questions. Not to, you
Well,
don't have to today,
Well,
but you have to hear
you're depreciating the buses. I mean, are you, in your budget, long term, are you accumulating money to purchase new ones? Or how is that
So
working?
vehicles are funded, through authorizations from the state. So they've met their useful life, but they're still on the road because we don't have replacements yet.
But the replacements come from the state funds,
Yes,
so why aren't they replacing them?
it's supply chain issues. At one point, there were 600 vehicles across the state of Michigan on order for public transit. That was a year and a half ago. So we've all been waiting for these vehicles. Now there's a huge backlog. So it's not that the state's not giving us the money, it's that there is no vehicles for us to buy yet.
All right, so it's not your problem, it's really the state.
It's not it's not the state's either, it's the
Right,
people
right.
making the buses.
Well, that's what they're saying, and then you said last time you're not gonna do electric vehicles because, you know, they can't,
So we still have,
too many miles a day, that they wouldn't last, you have to park
so we still are obligated to one grant for electric vehicles. The other grant, we just switched over to dual propane and gas. We got approval of that from the FTA. The original EV grant, right now, we are still obligated to get the vehicles. They aren't ready to be ordered, and we're doing quite a few things in the background to try to get those also switched to gas and propane. So that would be our desire.
it. Yeah, cause I've heard that the Biden administration, you know, sent out a bunch of EV buses to different municipalities, and now because of, they stopped running them because they're missing parts, they can't maintain them. So they got like 50 buses parked somewhere, and they're not even using them, so.
What if it's been
hopefully-
issues with the chargers? They can't charge, there's a
Well,
a
yeah,
transit downstate, they can't charge them because their charger is broken.
well, it's either that or there, you know, there's something wrong with them and they can't fix it because they can't get the parts to fix it.
Yep.
So maybe you should go back to horses.
Be even slower.
Well, yeah, but
Less miles.
they're
They
very,
can't do 350
they're
miles a
very
day.
reliable.
They are, yeah.
Any questions for Jess? All right, Jess, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks a lot.
See you later. I'm gonna, just ask you, can I, get you the contract that was missing?
For copies.
Yeah, would you, like to read it, or do you want me to read it out loud? You don't have to do it.
Oh, I can.
There you go.
But I,
Everybody has a copy of the response one, right? Okay, so she's doing the fire one. And sorry to interrupt you, but you're next.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Karen Cunningham, County Commissioner, District 3. Having the meeting tonight. Cedar Home won't be able to make it because we had a conflict with the change was, but we understand we have to have that. Had the Board of Commissioner meetings today, the study session in the afternoon, and also the morning session. So I'm just going to update what was there. The rest I have in my printed report there. One of the things that was mentioned at the meeting was, I think you all know that Michelle is Thompson is retiring as the county treasurer. And in her stay, you're having, Kelly Long will be sitting in her place and running all of those, job duties of treasurer until the election happens. So she's in doing that. Michelle didn't retire for long. She's only going to be retired for a moment. And she has been selected to become the executive director of Michigan Land Bank Association, which will be effective for March. So she'll be doing that. But, because she is retiring from the county, just for your information for the public and the board, on 1 March between 1 and 4 p.m. in the Board of Commissioner room, we're going to have an open house for her.
Okay.
Okay, so if you would like to come to that, that is available.
What
And
was,
that,
Karen, what was the time again?
yes, it is 1 March from 1 till 4 p.m. 13 to 1600. And that's in the BOC board, the board. So anyone who would like to attend and say goodbye to her, her one position there. Other than that, there was an update from Tim Malone about, from Cherry Capital Communications, and the things that he highlighted that I thought would interest you was the construction along M115 between US 31 and the city of Frankfurt is on schedule. So we're very happy about that. He also said in his report that he has the hub done here at Crystal Lake Township, but you're waiting for lights or something? I'm not sure.
That would be Brian Halliday.
Okay, I didn't see.
I'll
him
ask
here.
him.
Okay, all right. And also he wants to remind the citizens, all of the misdig flags, leave them there, don't remove them. They need them there, so he just wanted to bring that up. Yeah, the hut is at Crystal Lake Township is complete, waiting on light from the middle mile provider. And then the update on beads, it says, Benzie County and Mitch, who is our coordinator, and CCC are reviewing publicly available data with the goal of producing a map, and I'm just reading exactly what he wrote here for you, would outline potential areas for the beads application. It is anticipated that once the MyHime office has defined locations, they will publish their results. Okay, so, and he's looking for cybersecurity people. But other than that, unless there's questions,
Well, when do we, we're supposed to get some internet service here in the building. Is that, have we had any discussions with anybody?
What the schedule for that
What the
is?
schedule for that is?
I know that we're on schedule, but what the schedule is, I don't know.
Okay, well, I mean, when they need to perform what they said they were gonna do, so save the township some money.
Yeah. Thank you very much,
but
Karen.
other than that, thank you.
Okay. Next, would be the fire, and you have a packet there. He couldn't make it because we switched our date,
Yeah, he has a
and
meeting.
so he will be back on schedule next time. Are there any pieces of information in your packet that you want to bring up in public now? Okay. Let's see here. Contracts. Everybody's got the 2 correct ones there. You want to start with the actual fire department, the one that we just Xeroxed for you? Do you want to take a minute to read it instead of me reading it out loud? I think we got it. Did you get a chance to review it?
No,
Do you want to wait?
because I thought it was gonna be on the
Maybe
next.
next, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't see it at all.
It was sent to me and then I sent it to the rest of you, and, so I think that it's the same as pretty much every year. What's changing here is just the amount on the top of the second page. But I don't want to do this, Judy, if you feel uncomfortable.
I don't.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move then that we accept the fire contract for fire department services between the city of Frankfurt and Crystal Lake Township as presented.
I support.
Any discussion? You'll have to take roll call.
Okay. Ferris,
Yes.
Northwood,
Yes.
Van Meter, yes, Pop,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
And then, the second one, somebody else like to take that?
I move to approve the contract.
This would be for the first responders contract between the city of Frankfurt and the
Support.
Crystal Lake Township. Discussion? Roll call when you're ready.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Van Meter, yes, Northwood,
Yes.
Ferris,
Yes. Okay, so I'll help sign those later. We'll get that done. The signed contracts. We're finally to, public comment.
On the
Leroy.
invasive species, Rick was saying, you know, you said they probably sent that to homeowners, to the property owners for any type of spraying on the invasive species. Maybe the township, did they by chance get it because of the township hall and the cemeteries themselves, actually?
That's what Brooke said. Yeah,
and
maybe
then like,
that's why.
don't they still have over on, Adams Road, that piece of property up in there too, technically, the township still owns?
Yeah, we do.
So maybe it's,
It's kind of in between two streets.
right, but it's getting BFE up there in the hills, but.
I'll ask, is her name Rebecca? I can't remember.
The actual township properties themselves that they're.
Well, maybe the state should apologize for what they pushed on us 30 years ago that's gone. Everywhere. What's the name of that?
Autumn olive, this bird.
Autumn olive one, they claimed that was an invasive species and look what we did. We got that everywhere now. We can't get rid of it.
Will sell.
So how do we know what I don't trust the state on invasive species. I have no faith in it.
I think the invasive species committee has done some work on right of ways and up here at the gateway, they took a lot of that out. And maybe some other places that I'm not aware of, but they could be helping clear the roadsides.
I'll call her and see what,
Yeah, I would ask her what they're talking about some invasive species, but what's the plan on this autumn olive stuff? Is there any money for that?
That might be included, as it technically state's classified as invasive now.
Well, I don't know. I didn't read it. I didn't read the
Yeah,
whole thing.
that and that barberry bush and, something else that added, I think it was last year, as invasive now under state.
Paul Adams Road, your handout there from the invasive species network vis-a-vis the woody adelgid problem on the hemlock.
yeah,
As a citizen, I'm suggesting to you that if you think you're gonna approve of somebody to go put toxic chemicals on public land, you better talk to an attorney. So.
we'll get the story
The
straight first.
discussion of autumn olive and other species is, mixing up apples and pecans
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, you gotta be careful is all I'm saying, be careful when you do.
Yeah, 'cause there was a big stink a few years ago about consumers contracted doing power lines and they come through and sprayed a bunch of property stuff they weren't supposed to. And so that kind of a touchy subject when it comes to spraying now.
Well, we won't okay anything without further ado, believe me, we're not okaying anything tonight. So, okay, any other public comment? Okay, finances.
Oh, let's see, any questions on any of the documents? I'll move into the post-audit payroll expenditure for January of 2024. The total figure was $15,390.84. I make a motion to approve. Do I have support?
Support.
This is the payroll expenditures?
Yes.
Yes. And, discussion? Payroll, I think we need to roll call them.
Yep, okay. Northway,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Ferris,
Yes,
Pop,
Yes.
Van Meter, yes.
okay. And then, you're wanting us to throw this away for now,
Please.
okay? And then, next is your warrant report.
There was an addition after this was put together last Friday, addition of an invoice from Spectrum Printers in the amount of $68.49 to the general fund. So the new total is $4,946.82.
Okay,
The cemetery fund is $12,507.88.
and nothing for the other two,
Nothing for the other two.
okay? You move that,
I move to accept the warrant report as amended.
is there support?
I support.
Any discussion? Roll call when you're ready.
Ferris,
Yes,
Northway,
Yes.
Van Meter, yes. Nielsen,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
okay, we're now down to, reports, airport. I got lots of questions, unfortunately, guys.
Okay.
The minutes from November 16th. What is a sponsored contract?
So the sponsor is the airport. So it would be a contract with MDOT
Okay,
for grant.
so when it says to, you did a motion for the secretary to execute the MDOT sponsored contract, it's just between the two of you, okay? And then, the consent judgment, in the second paragraph there, it authorizes the chair to execute the selected consent judgment and second stipulated order amending application, even all that sort of stuff. What does that mean? That Corey is just selected as the person to take it all through, okay? And then under new business, it says something about the job posting. And as an authority member, you help decide the job requirements?
I did not.
Okay, so that, I just wanted to clarify that. No, you did not. And then the next one is the January 4th meeting. Is it legal? I know that I've attended a meeting before where somebody participated via phone. Is that legal? I was wondering whether the Open Meetings Act applies to you guys.
The people that were by phone, that was the attorney. And they don't vote.
Well, it says, that Carrie Zeitz, was on her cell phone. Okay, just didn't know if that was legal to have her doing that or not. We had it with our lawyer, so. And she's waiting for a response from John Shrew to determine if the bond fees are reimbursable by MDOT.
And it was determined that they are.
Okay, they are. And this is legal, right? I mean, obviously, the lawyer Zeitz has approved that using all the funds from the grant money to pay off the fines is legal, right? Okay, and then last time you said something about, of course, now we won't have any money for operations. So have you made any progress there?
Right, so what that means though is grant money is not used for operations. I kind of misspoke. It's basically, there are only certain parameters you can use grant funds for.
Right, I think you
So-
even list them in here someplace.
Right, so if you were to have looked at the previous capital improvement plan, that's what grant money is for, so.
It says that Richard Bear shared MDOT email regarding various airports with unused grant money. Did you find any unused grant money from other airports that we
So
have?
that's discretionary money and that that is determined who gets what by MDOT, and we don't have that determination yet.
Okay. And the next thing is, what is your fiscal year?
June first through May.
June first, okay, through May 31st. Thanks. And, what's the Graves Family LLC? Is that, paying them for the tower?
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to do that. And attorney's fees, did we have to also pay the attorney's fees for the Pines?
I think that was all part of the consent judgment.
Okay, so it's not in addition.
There is bits and, right, no, there's no additionals, no.
And so when it says, the Pines like 67 something under professional services,
Right, those
67,000
are the authorities' attorney fees pertaining to.
pertaining to Pines. Okay, and then, the Sandy Racing and Doran,
Engineering firm.
that's engineering, not for attorneys.
Wait,
No, that's
Right.
the attorney,
Tri Newhoff is the engineering
Yeah.
firm. Thank you.
that's the attorney, Amy.
Okay, so it's backwards there, okay. And I didn't know if you knew that there's a repeat in here. I did that in my packet too, anyway, and then, what else? These are the hangars, and the big open space here, what does that mean?
I'm not sure.
So that we've got more addresses for hangars, but they're not,
They may not be hangars, they just may be utility. For what, maintenance hangar?
I think there's provisions for more electric meters
Okay.
too.
in case you get more,
Someday to build more. I
okay,
think that, I don't know why that's spreadsheet.
right, okay, thanks for that, okay, anybody else have any questions before I go on? Somebody, complained to me that they had asked for information, like that they had talked about payroll. And that, they submitted a FOIA for payroll in the past several times, and they would get something back from, Dick Bear saying that there are no hours handed in for payroll. Is that true?
You need to articulate a bit more. So Dick Bear probably doesn't turn into a timesheet.
How about, I didn't realize, I, talked to the payroll lady at the county, and this is a shock to me that there are 3 pops and a off singer on an hourly rate. You have never declared that your husband works there, you work there,
Yes,
and
I have.
no, I'm the one that brought it up once. When I found out that your husband was hired there, now I find that your brother-in-law is also hired. Have you ever declared that?
I don't, his income is not mine.
Okay, is there a certain place that I can find it? Cause I've never read that in any of the minutes that you guys were hired on an hourly basis, and I still don't know what for.
It's not the authority's position to hire, it's Dick's.
So you're working for Dick,
I've been doing filing,
and what does Al do?
snowplow and mowing,
And what does John Pop do?
snowplow and mow.
And what does Carl do?
He's not working
Yeah,
currently, he's not able
he
to.
might have left him out as an alternate. I think Carl has some medical issues that might keep him from
Mhm.
doing anything for the airport ever again.
Is that a conflict of interest that you're working hourly for them? And you're also on the authority and you're also on the township board?
They don't have, no, they didn't see an issue with it.
I see an issue with that. I think that is a conflict of interest, and it's certainly nothing I ever knew before the payroll lady told me you were all on the payroll. Airport Administration's tech report, from January. It says the south entrance to the airport has been blocked off by a neighboring landowner. What's that about?
Would you like to expound?
No,
No,
Not public input.
It's
I'm a
been in-
board member and
This
I'm
is the
asking.
first time that's been there. It's been in other reports.
right.
and I'm just wondering, what is it?
I believe Leroy Reed has block the entrance, that
Not
area.
a legal entrance.
Okay, I did, it's, so that's what it is,
Mhm.
okay? And what's being done about it?
I don't know, to be honest with you, that Dick Bear was going to look into that.
Okay, and takeoff and landings. He does this every report too. It says, please note that the airport is mostly unattended. He says it every time, and these are approximations. Is there some way you can actually record? What happened to the big camera outfit that was
It's
bought?
there, yes,
No one looks at it to count the takeoffs and landings?
we could,
Well,
and they are also on FlightAware.
I know. Yeah, but not that training school, and
Right.
we have people that do touch and goes with no flight plan logged in
Mhm.
or anything. I don't understand how that works either.
Under operations, it says maintain general utility provisional airport status. Tell me again what license we have.
Professional general license.
Okay, and what is that?
Until the
It's not a real
trees get
license?
cut, it's not a true general license, correct? Until the Pines follows through with their judgment, it's provisional.
Okay, when do you plan to be cutting down their trees?
We will not be cutting down their trees, they are doing that. And I think they have a deadline, was it the next year, next spring?
That's 2025?
I may have it in my notes, if you want to continue with your questions.
I just wondered why all these things appear time and after time. I mean, the Knox box.
We don't have, the funds for that right now, but it is on the project list.
Who is the authority's treasurer
That's Michelle Thompson.
and who will be the new one?
Don't know, probably Kelly.
Okay, Kelly has attended your meetings, right? As
Correct,
a
yes.
proxy for. Okay, and then, this last thing here, it's, a long judgment paper, the resolution and so forth. On page 3, number 2, it says full faith and credit pledge of the authority. It intends to pay the principal and the interest of the bonds to be received annually from the Federal Aviation. In case of insufficiency, your payment will come from the general funds of the authority. Is that well known to you?
Mhm. I think that's just,
So in case that the grant money doesn't come through for these payments,
mhm.
that you'll be responsible.
It's an act of Congress to get those grants going. So if there's any delay, we may not get the money in time. But we still would like to honor the deadline.
Okay, and then on page 9, it says number 9, sale of bonds to be negotiated. The authority hereby determines to sell the bonds at a negotiated sale instead of a competitive sale for the region. You're selling bonds to help pay for the airport?
We did recently sign a new bond agreement.
So the answer is yes, you're selling bonds.
Mhm.
So that will help in addition to
Mhm.
pay off the Pines, in addition to the grants.
Right, the new bond is at a lower interest rate and we can prepay it without penalty. So we are hoping to save the airport money and get that paid on as quickly as we can.
On page 10, number 11, it says bond counsel requests Miller, Canfield, Paddock, and Stone. How did you pick those guys?
I don't know, I did not do that.
And sale of bonds, any of the authorized officers are hereby authorized on behalf of the authority. Do we know who those authorized officers are?
Corey handled it.
All Corey,
Mhm.
just one officer.
Mhm.
Okay.
He was voted to do so by the board.
Then I also heard something else. And I'm gonna bring this up. I heard, and this is kind of, I'm not sure if it's airport or something else, but that you and Al have approached people that have neighboring property. Have you talked to any of the Ramels?
I went to visit Roy Rommel and I brought him his, veterans exemption for taxes.
No, I'm talking about anything that had to do with lawyers, light, or the airport, nothing. You haven't talked to any of the other,
No. I haven't.
you haven't been to any other Ramel's house?
There's only one that I believe.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for, the airport.
I have one. The first part of this resolution authorizing issuance and sale of the bonds. The first whereas says the city of Frankfurt, the township of Crystal Lake, and the county of Benzie incorporated the Frankfurt City County Airport Authority. Was the township, I don't think I think the incorporation happened before they became members of the authority, so that first paragraph is not true.
You're right. Good job.
That is
So,
very, yeah, I didn't even notice that. So I don't, what are you saying?
It's
That we're not part of?
We are, so
We
it
weren't-
was just a statement as to how the authority came about. It doesn't imply that the other three entities are in the contract, It was just like an opening segue into the
I
airport.
know, but
Right,
the
but it
township
shouldn't
was
go
not,
Right.
they didn't participate in the incorporation of the airport authority.
Mhm.
I think the last meeting at the 2 hour mark, you said that you were gonna get us a list of funds that the township that impacts the township, something about working on the budget. You know what you're? Don't know, okay.
The list of funds, I don't recall.
As I say, it was at the 2 hour mark. I'll go back and try to figure out what you meant. We did, your quote was, we did have meeting earlier this month to discuss alternatives, to which I can't discuss because we were with the attorney, obviously. So I'm just wondering, if you can share anything more about that, alternatives to all this payment and financing. Because we're interested, I think we are interested as a board on how much the airport is costing us. And so that's when you said something about you have a list of funds that would impact the township's budget.
The airport is not costing any of the three entities anything.
Okay,
You're not going to, any of the money that, is appropriated from the entities, that goes towards the actual operation. So, Dick Bear's salary, let's see, the lights, propane, things like that. Things where the grants do not cover.
do you remember when you handed this out to all of us? And on the front, you have it's kind of a mixture of your opinions and some facts in here.
Okay.
And in it, you say something about Crystal Lake may not be released from the Frankfurt Airport.
The authority, right?
Yeah, and its obligations since the date of membership. Until everything's been paid or payment provisions have been made.
Right. That may be an incorrect statement. We need to, as a board, we need to have the attorney.
Are there,
review,
yeah,
because,
are there questions that we can agree on that we should ask the attorney? Should we start writing some of those down? I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just
No,
wanted,
that's
should I
good,
write
that's
this down?
valid. Maybe, I can come up with a list and then we can share it with each other and go from there. There are different parts of the community airport MCL and not all of them are applicable. And I was reading the MCL and I am not an attorney. And, so quite possibly are not, as an entity, obligated financially. Which would
Further
make,
down, you say something like the township obligation is estimated to be about $275,000, so.
right,
So
if you
that's,
read the community airport MCL, it does state that, but because of the type of, what, how do they put it? Yeah, no, I suggest that the township get their own attorney to look at that. I know that the county has, and they found that they are not obligated, but of course, every entity has that responsibility to do so. And we are quite different because we don't have a memorandum of understanding.
I was just gonna say that again. We're not a member, right? Because we don't
You
have
are a
that.
member, but you don't have a memorandum of understanding.
So that would be one of the questions, like, what
You're
are our liabilities and what exactly do we own or am a member of? Very confusing. Would you agree that those are good questions, that what are our liabilities?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think there's a long list of things that we need to talk to our attorney about.
And MOU, I'd like to know if the authority adheres to the Open Meetings Act.
Yes, I do.
Who's your FOIA coordinator?
The airport administrator, so that's currently Dick Bear,
Okay, and is Dick staying on for a while?
until they can find a replacement, as far as I know.
And I asked you for a copy of your application and
I have not submitted an application.
I asked for the letter of interest that you did submit.
And I don't know how that's relevant.
Because again, I'm concerned about conflict of interest. That being a member of the board while you're applying gives you
Well,
an
it was
unfair
only a
advantage.
letter of interest and I could rescind it. And as I have not applied formally, then
Well, didn't you mention stuff in this thing about having already formed an LLC,
we have not formed an LLC.
or plans to?
It's possible.
Was that all included in this letter of interest?
I can't remember, to be honest with you. I don't have it. And it's not relevant.
Well,
I
it's
haven't
just transparency.
applied for the
It's just
job.
transparency. And then also you took the managerial course for an airport manager.
I did take the test, yes.
Okay, so just so I'm just asking, I want this all transparent. I
And
don't,
I
and
shared
if
that,
that gives you a leg up, that you learned about it months before anybody else, and then we had a problem with getting this position
I didn't
advertised.
take the test until after, what? It was in October, November. Yeah.
Well, you told us that you didn't learn about it because you missed the October meeting, that you didn't learn about it
It was
until the
in
next one.
September, so I learned about it in October. Correct.
So could you supply that to me, please, a copy for
No.
that?
I'm not going to.
Okay. Any other questions, guys? So we know what we're doing from here. We're gonna get together some questions. If you've got questions at the airport, you wanna give them to me?
Certainly.
Thanks. And we'll
I
get
just
that,
wanna know if the airport authority has a DEI coordinator yet.
What the hell is that?
You gotta watch that. Everybody has a DEI coordinator, not all corporations and LLCs and
is this a joke? I don't know what a DEI.
has to do with diversity and inclusion.
Oh, that is part of, when the sponsor signs the agreement, we have certain assurances that need to be held to. And it pertains to a lot of things like that.
I'm gonna give a copy of this to you. I did ask and I haven't gotten an answer back. It says that Dick Bear's salary is $42,000 a year.
Okay.
When we contribute 12,000, three of us entities, that only comes up to 36,000. Who's paying the other 6,000?
Operations, sales of fuel, things like that.
So the authority is paying him even more than what,
Right, I think, right, he was giving cost of living increases, things like that.
this is the email I got from the payroll lady at the county. And I did, email, and I'll give you this too, it's an email to the, MTA lawyer. And said, is it right that she is sitting on the township board and the authority, and she's being paid by them? And Catherine Mulhuff says absolutely not. So I'll give a copy of that
I
to you.
also contacted MTA and I got the exact opposite answer.
Could you show me all your
Do you share
documentation?
yours first? I'll share mine.
I'll give it to you right now. There you go. So, thank you. Are we done with airport? Budget. Additional compensated duties for the cemetery administrator. We've already done the adjustments for the fire and the road. So actually, in this category, we're only talking about the cemetery administrator's job. Anybody want to address that?
I did request some information from you back in January and didn't receive any, and so therefore, I don't have enough information to render a decision on this matter.
Okay. Were you asking for something in particular that I didn't supply?
No, I asked you, cemetery administration is predicated by the number of foundations sold, interments performed, and burial rites sold. It would be prudent for the board to consider paying an administrator piecemeal for those items. What is the average amount of time spent doing each of the three functions?
I think I actually addressed that in a meeting, that, that hours are very, very difficult. In fact, I listened to myself say that
So-
again on the tape.
Sure, so on average, when you sell a monument foundation, how many hours?
I would say at least an hour for every one of those functions,
An hour for each.
at least,
Okay,
yeah.
1 hour each, at least, 1 to 2.
But, you know, that's, putting numbers and stuff to things that,
So if $20 an hour,
why 20?
just why not more? It's what we pay the election coordinators and whatnot, so
You get paid 25 at the airport for filing.
this is the township. And so it's 20, so you had, let's see here, so a pay basis, so that's, wow. And you want $16,000 for how many hours here? 15, 30, 22?
I can actually, I did numbers all over the place. If you'd like to, you know,
If you could share that with us and maybe we can discuss this again next month.
we can do that.
Okay.
If you take a job that is 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and 50 weeks a year, you're working about 2,000 hours. So I went back from that. And so just to give you an idea of how you would figure any of this stuff, like, if I asked you right now, or the clerk, or anybody to tell me how many hours you spent, isn't that difficult to do? I can tell you how many hours I'm in the office.
I can this week, just because I can check Kathy's timesheet with the elections, because we've been working
But you're
together.
doing stuff at home with also. So
Yeah,
now you're-
sure. But you're right.
I just find it very difficult. I'll pass this down, and you can take each one of those things if we're gonna, I just started to list absolutely everything I have to do. And know and take care of. And maybe that's not even the complete list. We do agree that if I don't do it any longer, that it does fall to someone else to continue. And it's not necessarily the clerk, but it's traditionally the clerk. And I'd also like to point out that there is nobody that you can hire. There is no one that knows that and all the references and all the ins and outs of our cemeteries.
We were all newbies once.
I know, but why would you start new when you've got a qualified candidate? Other than your statement earlier that nobody in houses should be doing it, and I'm not sure why.
I had explained that previously, that I think it's a good idea to have an employee that will be here when officers come and go.
No, you could make it a year contract. I may not be here after November. So that's a possibility. I have been doing this for free at, 11 years now, so. Any other comments about the cemetery administration job?
Well, the only thing, I'm gonna go right back to what I've said before, is that you're adding on more costs, which is fine, if that's what the township wants to do. But they're not, we're not explaining how we're paying for it. When you're projecting a $32,000 deficit for the next year, if we hire someone at $16,000 or whatever. And that is a projection that, it doesn't matter really what happened in the past, we haven't made a lot of money, well, we've lost money at times, but if you think that 32,000 going forward is gonna continue, then how are we gonna pay for it?
We tend to bring in lots of money in other ways into our general fund, and I think it is a general interest
That,
of the community. If you tell them that there's nobody going to be taking care of and doing all these jobs, I think they'll be upset.
right, well, I think that, we need to, I'm okay with hiring someone to do it and having general funds put money into the cemetery every year. Except that I don't think we should be subsidizing non-residents to be buried there.
Well, actually, I wrote that down, and it's on my list of asking questions to the attorney.
Now, well, I'm sure we can, we can grandfather in those that have already bought lots. But I don't think we should sell any new lots to non-residents. And then we'd have to clarify, maybe with the attorney's opinion, who those what do you have to do to be a tax or resident? Is you gotta pay taxes, or you gotta know I don't know how to do it, but you can't have a $32,000 deficit over the next 100 years, that's $3 million. And where is that money coming from? And I think it's okay if we pay for our own people who are being buried here and we maintain the grass for them and everything and mow it, and that's fine. But I don't think someone who lived in Chicago all their life could come up here and get buried. And then we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, taking care of them in the next 1,000 years.
A lot of
That's a good point.
residents of the city are buried there also, and they're not taxpayers.
Well, we shouldn't sell them lots.
Right, but what I think maybe we should do is develop a formal, cemetery committee and have township residents, city residents, and maybe work something out with the city so they can get the taxpayer rates, and maybe the city will do the groundskeeping. They already have the manpower and
It
equipment.
costs money to run the cemetery, and, general fund's gonna be tapped forever.
Mhm.
If we just, there's no way around that.
Do you think
So I
that,
don't wanna make it worse by burying other people here.
do you think that, the township, would not have an extra $30,000
Well,
From
that
here
isn't that-
to
that's
there?
not the point. The point is,
from here to?
the point is, someone's buried here from Chicago in the next, or wherever, in the next 100 years or 200 years, the township is paying out of their general fund to maintain that lot.
Okay, let me just ask you this. For those people that are there already, do we not
No, we
mow
grandfather them in. We just changed the rules. From now on, we're not gonna sell anymore, but the people that are there, we're gonna grandfather in. We're gonna keep, we'll do.
So I've got a grid like this, and I've got it sold to 3 taxpayers and then a non-taxpayer. You're saying that we're paying to mow that, but aren't we mowing it anyway? I mean, let's say it wasn't sold to
The point
anybody,
is,
we're
just
still
don't-
mowing over
Just
it.
don't sell anymore. That's all I'm saying.
But you didn't answer my question. It's
What?
like, aren't we gonna mow it no matter who owns it?
Yeah, I know, but we're only gonna make it worse if we keep putting people in the ground there. There's always work to be done when someone's buried. I mean,
Unless you have a good administrator who starts straightening these things out,
no.
because nobody was supervising that place
Well, we're
for
making our
decades.
deficit worse by $16,000 a year. We're already losing $16,000, and now you wanna you're saying 32. is what the deficit is proposed for next year.
Well, that's, I remember I said that we hadn't explored about what the endowments can kick in,
Yes.
or
I'll
whether
tell you
we
what, the
raise the
endowment-
surplus.
The endowment would be gone. You can't spend the principal of the endowment.
No, we never would.
And at $125,000 is not gonna last you very long. It'll cover the deficit for 3 to 4 years and then you're broke.
I'm not saying take everything like a 16 or 30 figure out of the endowment every year. I'm saying, is there an increment that could be part of it?
Well, you have to come up with $32,000. Where are you gonna do it?
The general fund, I've already said,
Right,
that everything besides what we figure out then would be made up by the general fund.
right, but that's gonna be the bulk of it. It's gonna be 90% of it's gonna be from the general fund. You can only take so much, you got $125,000 of interest money that you can spend in the perpetual care, that's all. So divide that by 32,000, that's 4 years, less than 4 years.
I'm not doing 32,000 out of the endowment.
Well, I know you're not, but you're doing it, I'm saying you can't do it out of the endowment fund.
Right,
So that's 95% of it's gonna come out of the general fund, and I'm opposed to that. If we allow non-taxpayers or whatever criteria we have to buy lots, we need to stop selling lots.
how much did non-taxpayers give us this year?
It doesn't matter, I mean, you can't.
Well, wouldn't
give
you
it-
like to
no
know
matter-
those numbers?
We can charge them 10 times that, but it's all gonna be gone in 100 years or 50 years or 20, you can't charge them.
When do you run out of space?
One of the other, not forever, but there are other options too that we could talk about. We don't mow anymore.
Well, I mean,
You could do just wildflowers.
right, but that's fine, but then balance the budget then. And come to me with your balanced budget. You have a $32,000 deficit now, get rid of it by not mowing. How much are you gonna cut it back?
Well, you're suggesting a pretty, I think, radical solution.
No, it's a problem. It's like our national debt. It just keeps escalating. I mean, you have to balance the budget. You have to have a balanced budget for the cemetery.
Are you wanting to say something?
Yeah,
No, I'd be glad to hear it.
thank you. Well, it's my understanding that there's only 2 requirements for a township, and that is to have a township hall and a cemetery. And when I read obituaries, they are often buried in obscure places, not places they lived. You should ask some questions, because I'm sure that you can get a quick answer. Is it legal to discriminate against one group or another? Or is it just a general, are all cemeteries accepting people from anywhere?
Yeah, I'd like to find that out, and I don't think that is a requirement. I don't think a township hall or a cemetery is a requirement.
Well, I forget that.
Lake Township doesn't have one,
Oh,
doesn't have a cemetery.
If you look at all the European countries, France, Germany, Sweden, they all,
I know.
unless you kick in money every year, you're dug up.
So that's why I think
So
that
I mean,
a committee that would study all this and get proper cemetery funding would be a good idea.
all right, well then, see,
And it might be that,
I would
because
rather have a millage for the cemetery. Like 1/10 of a mill or 2/10 of a mill would bring in $30,000.
this committee
But-
could have all sorts of options that we could look at.
Right, but it still comes down to the same thing. Who do you allow to get in? Because it's costing you money every time you bury somebody there.
Yeah,
And it's gotta be a taxpayer or something. I don't know, I mean, I'm willing to go anywhere you want, but I'll never vote for any of this unless you guys solve that problem. You can
well,
outvote me then, but.
you're gonna have to get somebody to do it. Who's gonna do it if you don't pay something? Let's say you only pay 8,000,
Well, I'm just saying, well,
half
let's,
of what I was
no,
asking.
I'm fine with, I don't care if it's 16 or 20 or 25. All I care about is you don't sell any more lots.
And
End of story.
we need, okay, I get what,
I don't care about the money. We got money to pay if that's what you wanted, but do it for our own people.
Hey, I do think that Gilmore does that. I think they only allow,
I don't know what they.
Township in.
One
Yes.
quick question. You
Very
got an
quick.
average about how many burials a year you have, right?
yes,
On average, okay. How many years do we have left of space?
we have years and years and years. We've only used a couple of acres and we have a total of 45 acres left.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you're just accepting everybody, you're burning up space.
Well, the other interesting thing is that this year we only had, I think, 2 out of 30 full burials, what they call in a coffin is called a full burial. And everybody else was cremains.
No.
So we're going down to much smaller spaces. And
Have
I
you
am,
ever considered in one of them?
yes, we
mausoleum
have,
things?
yes, we've
For
looked
space.
into that. So that's still on the
Yeah, I
board.
don't care what you do,
On the
whether you have a
table.
mausoleum or whatever, just balance your budget. You don't have a balanced budget.
I've heard you say that, yeah.
Right.
And I keep saying there's things that just cost money. So it never comes out even. It just costs you money.
Maybe we could go forward though with the idea of having a committee that discusses this and comes up with some solutions.
Yeah.
some Proposals.
Anybody interested in being on that committee?
Well, I'll be on it, but I mean, I think I'm wasting my time because I think the board's gonna outvote me anyway.
Not necessarily, but, I value your opinion. It's,
Did you want to discuss your cemetery operations funding resolution?
no, we don't have to. We can discuss it.
No, it's.
I need to get information from you first. I started to say of all the sales, what goes into the perpetual fund and how much goes into operating?
Nothing has been going in or out of the investment funds for years. So there has not been.
There is a law somewhere on the books. When I came to town, I think it was 50-50. Of every sale, 50 went into the principal, 50 went out to the operating. I tried to change that. Do you remember? I said out of every dollar, only, 1 cent goes
So
to the
when you say-
perpetual, 99 goes to operations.
When you say law, do you mean MCL or do you mean a township resolution?
I mean, a township resolution.
Okay, you need to supply that for me then.
Well, you're telling me that we have a perpetual fund that has never, ever had anything added to it
I'm sure
in
before,
10, 11 years?
right,
And all the sales, nothing has been given to it.
right.
Wow, okay. When I asked you, I wish you would have told me all that stuff. I would have figured a lot of this stuff out. I asked you what the percentage was and stuff, and then you just sent me back a report that didn't tell me anything. So
Yeah, your questions are hard to follow sometimes.
I can show you the question again. I said, what
I already
percentage
have
of every dollar goes into the perpetual fund?
And, right, there,
And then, so you sent me back a report that showed me how big the perpetual fund is, but I didn't know how you were working this.
so basically what we have been doing, the cemetery fund is self-sustaining by their sales. And the investments have been untouched.
Except for paying for an administrator. It's pretty much evening out right now.
The perpetual fund and interest has not been touched as of today.
Right,
Okay.
so, did you notice that in the back of the packet, I gave you all the statistics? I asked Doc if you wanted to know, like, how many non-residents and so forth. You can look for yourself if you,
Yeah,
Are
and
interested.
in some of the years, they've been, the non-residents have been buying a lot more than the taxpayers.
yeah,
Right, so, but the bottom line is that that negative number, and you're trying to make it worse by paying someone $16,000 a year out of the general fund on top of what we're already losing money next year, apparently, according to your budget. You're just gonna make it worse. Well, why are we doing that? Just because we have extra money in the general fund, we're supposed to spend it on that?
no, not just because we have extra money that we're doing something about it. We need a cemetery administrator that gets compensated. That's what is the important thing.
Well, I'm fine with.
Because
I'm fine with-
decades,
I'm
people
fine.
came and complained to this board that bad things were happening in that cemetery. In 1 year, the supervisor that preceded me buried a guy in the wrong place. 7 bodies buried in the wrong place.
We need somebody that's on top of it.
I'm not, I'm fine with paying an administrator. I'm just saying, figure out how you're gonna pay him.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. I agree with you.
We
I
can
agree
pass,
with you.
why don't we pass a hat around here? These guys.
All right. At this point, elections, we have, to get going here. And, so we're talking the electors slate, you wanna,
I just want to give a quick update. The school has decided to schedule a millage election for May 7th. So as soon as we're done with the presidential primary, we're gonna have to start sending out absentee ballots and things for the May 7th election.
so that will be 4 elections this year.
Yes,
That is huge.
it is.
And if there are 10 days that we can't be in here, that's 40 days out of the year that someone
It's a
like me
local-
can't be in here.
It's a local election, so that is optional.
Oh, really? For the
Yes,
May
and
one, it's
I-
optional.
And we are not doing the 9 days of in-person voting for a school millage election.
Oh, okay.
No,
I'm glad
No.
you told me that.
no.
Traverse City put their school election on to August election.
Well, it's my understanding that if it was postponed to August, it wouldn't be a renewal, it would be a new millage, and the school didn't wanna chance it not passing.
They wanted their money
Okay.
to know what
Yeah.
money they had before
Yeah.
school started.
And Saturday is when we start the early voting, 11 o'clock. So I hope we're gonna be ready.
We're ready, we're ready, girl.
All right, the election commission met on February 2nd and passed a resolution appointing all of the election inspectors that are listed in the resolution that you have before you. And so the township board is just affirming that appointment.
You so move.
I so moved.
I support. Any discussion?
Well, not on that. I mean, my question would be this, I can't believe that we have this 9 days stuff. And, I think there's gonna be pushback on that from a lot of
I think so, too.
municipalities and everything, and I think hopefully it'll be changed, but what Manistee is doing, for example, many townships down by Manistee they're only opening up their, township hall on the day of the election. And the other 9 days, you can go vote at the Manistee County Courthouse or whatever, there's a
Yeah.
central place. And it just makes sense to me, if this 9 days continues and you got, like you're saying, for almost 40 days, you can't use this building. You know, we need to put pressure on the county
Or county clerk checked on that, and it wasn't going to work at the government center. And there's no other place in Benzie County
is it,
large enough to hold a community site.
Really?
Yeah,
Not even the high schools, huh?
I mean, the high school.
I voted in a lot of high schools in my day.
Use the old Crystal Lake Elementary, it's sitting there empty.
well, but you would be interrupting school.
Yeah, I remember that, you know, school was taking, I don't know.
All I know is the county clerk.
I'll take your word for it that
Yeah.
they,
All right, well, I just wanna make sure that we've approached them or talked to them about it, because
Yes.
if they have a legitimate reason why they can't do it, fine. I mean, Manistee is doing it, maybe they got a big building, I don't know. I mean,
Midland County's doing it too. Midland County has a community site for the 9 days. It's at the library.
Right, well, we need to seriously think about it. There must be some site we could use. I mean, how much room do you need? Is there some law on how much room you need? 9 days, there's not gonna be that many people coming in to vote.
I know.
They're gonna all vote absentee, or there'll be one person a day coming in.
Well, and it depends on how many townships there are and how many precincts in each township.
In each township, that
Yeah.
would be, and about tabulating each one also.
Well, that's where the old school would be ideal, you have classrooms for each township. The building's sitting there, they use it for police department trainings and stuff for the last 3-4 months. You know, shooter seminars and stuff, why not?
well,
Bring
as
that
I
to the
say,
commissioners
I'm
instead, yeah.
taking Tammy
Bauer's word for it that she's checked this out, because she knows that it would save everybody's
Well, I'm just
complaining.
saying, maybe that's something they didn't think about, ask about, I mean, what's it gonna hurt to ask, because
Yeah,
May
you have
not happen,
handicap, it's ADA, you have bathrooms, I mean, the list goes on and on.
Good suggestion.
Located,
Good suggestion.
easy out.
may not happen again.
I think we need to take a vote.
Who seconded?
Me.
I'll just say that I disagree with some people on here, and I'm gonna vote for it, but I just,
Noted.
What are we voting on again?
the slate of
Election
electors,
Expenditures.
Oh, okay,
roll call when you're ready.
Nielsen,
yes.
Van Meter, yes. Ferris,
Yes,
Pop,
Yes.
Northway,
Yes.
okay, that motion passed. Anything you wanna say? Oh, another thing, I should have amended the agenda. I forgot to say that Tom forgot that it was a week earlier and he didn't have his report ready. So there is no report. You can cross out the planning and zoning thing.
Well, can Dr. Northway fill us in on what's happening with the planning commission, or Greg?
I'm totally unprepared.
Greg's here though.
Well, we're still trying to get the, short-term rental, ordinance to you. And I hope it's gonna happen this spring. And it's virtually, you need to approve it and take up a couple of smaller issues. It would help if the planning commission heard from the board about your interest in getting that.
Oh, okay.
And, other than that, we had a great turnout from the neighborhood down around Casey Road for our last meeting. And, it was a full house for January, and those people got organized very quickly. Opposed.
You know what he's talking about? Very organized. I've had, TV stations calling me
the RV.
all about that proposed, that's not proposed yet, RV park.
Yeah, it's nothing, I mean, it's just, forget about it right now, I mean, they have to fill out the forms.
Well, that's what I say.
Yeah, well.
But isn't that interesting how
They heard
organized?
about it before we did almost.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why people are all worried about that, and there's no reason to think it's gonna happen right now. So why are we wasting time?
Well, we did receive a site plan from our.
Well, I know, but they haven't completed if they're gonna go ahead, they gotta steps, and they haven't taken them.
We haven't heard anything, so.
Well, I'm gonna build a nuclear waste site over there in my back 20 back there, and I think. Do I have to tell you, what do I need to fill out?
No,
Could I, follow up on what he suggested? He would like, a nudge, from the board. Should I send,
It
do
could
we,
come from one person, or, I don't know.
is it okay if we say that the board is very interested in getting this policy to us
What policy?
on short-term rentals?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Is that
yeah,
okay with you?
yeah, sure.
That if I tell them that?
When, is there any plans to update the master plan at all?
We'll have to be thinking about that within the next year or two.
Okay, because a few years back, the town of Passaic talked with somebody at MDOT. And MDOT is encouraging us to, as a township, to adopt their, airport zoning. The state airport zoning.
Hmm.
And I think it's recommended to do it at the next master plan session, so there's a public hearing and things like that.
Yeah, I don't think that was included at all in the last plan, but, yeah, it's been 10 years. And it's time to start thinking. Sometimes they go 15, but, we'll be taking it up for sure by next year.
And when the Zeitz lawyer came to talk to us,
Mhm.
she was very surprised and asked Tom, had he done any, zoning issues? He goes, nope, none, so she was surprised that we didn't have that applicable to this entity in the middle of our township, but
Right, we need to adopt that. That's what, that's.
Sounds like we did.
Mhm.
Moving on to attorneys.
I do have a request to make. So we have been talking, communicating, corresponding with the new attorney. Is that correct? I think you alluded to that in January, that the assessor has been working with him and that you and Tom have been working with him.
No, not
So how
me.
how did we get information about the Lakeview, the ordinance, that we may not need an ordinance? Was that through Tom?
Remember, you gave permission for Tom and I to talk to him about negotiating and the terms that we were concerned about. In fact, you highly recommended we talk to him.
Okay,
And
so
so
this
when-
was not in a formal capacity? That
No,
he's
it was in
working
that
on?
interview conversation.
Okay,
Since then, I know that the assessor really wanted, she had something urgent.
mhm,
And I said, we're not ready yet. Here's who it is. And ask him if he's gonna be able to handle this. Because again, people like yourselves on the committee urged people to interview this guy. And she did, and he said, I would like to get going on this right away. And they said, you know, we may not get paid for this if we don't get your contract, but we want to get started on this. In the good faith that we are gonna get your contract. And so that's how the assessor started talking to him about it. It's a kind of original kind of problem. And so I told you guys about it, and then since then, Tom has gotten started. And when we talked in the interviewing phone call is when we said there's one major ordinance problem, you know, and that's when he said, ooh, I didn't know I don't think a court should be able to order you to write an ordinance. And Tom and I, later talking amongst ourselves, said, if the judge orders it, you do it. And of course, that was long before he and I ever came on board. When was that? Lakeview, 2002 or something? It's a long time ago.
I was just wondering how you can keep the rest of the board in the loop.
So far, I have not approached the attorney since I reported to you last.
Well, I'm missing something here. I mean, I thought that there was an issue with the assessor, which I didn't know anything about.
I told you,
But you put it at the top of the list, the assessor issue was first, so are we dealing with is Jill dealing with the with the lawyer right now?
yes.
So we are full steam ahead with that.
I don't know
Proper.
how steamy it is. I don't know how many sessions, or was it 15 minutes?
Well, but Jill is working with the attorney
Yes,
on that one, so I'm just
she may be
saying,
done
well,
now.
we're saying that, yeah, well, the board needs to find out, in case someone approaches me that lives down there, what's going on with this property dispute. And there must be something going on between the assessor and the attorney right now, and they should be reporting to you. And then you should be communicating it to the board.
I have not had a report from them.
Well, you haven't talked to Jill, the assessor, at all about this?
Not since she said, can I talk to the guy? And I said, sure. And so she interviewed him like all of us.
Right, but she's working with him since then.
And then, and then the lawyer said, go ahead. And I
All right, well, then I think
reported that to you.
Jill should be reporting back to you on where she is on this with the attorney.
Oh, I'm sure she will when she's someplace with
Well, I mean,
me.
once a month I mean, come on, it's been a long time now. I mean, it's been a month. We should have a report from the assessor that goes to you, then you distribute it to the board.
Well, once I find something that has been done, I'll
Well, I
share
think
it
you
with
should
you.
ask her to give us a report. The report may say nothing's been done. I don't care. Unless I can tell people that live down there that we're not doing anything.
Well, I think you can tell him that Tom is on the job now.
All right, well, Tom then should, whatever he's doing with the Lakeview or.
He may have had that in his report that he didn't write
All
for
right,
us
well, I'm just
tonight.
saying that in the future, I think when we're gonna be dealing with the attorney on the airport and many other issues. And I think that you need to be the point person because I didn't know there was an assessor problem and, last summer, I got an email about a problem, and I've heard nothing since then, but I think in the future, you need to be the point person. Stuff flows through you, but I think the board should know on these issues like Lakeview and the assessor issue, at least every board meeting, there should be a report, that's all. Just that you don't, no progress, then it'll be in the minutes, at least that there's no progress.
And so you had also mentioned earlier about the correspondence from Tokyo Marine, that you will be hearing something from them within hours?
No, I think that I said 24 to 48 hours.
So they're going to respond to you within 24 to 48 hours, is that what, okay?
Yep, and I have not heard back.
So have you been corresponding with them by phone or by email?
Phone.
Could you start by email or just jotting down your phone conversations to share with the rest of us?
I've already done that. I told everybody and then I said this morning is when she called back. The first person, I put that all in the emails.
I didn't get an email this morning,
No, it was yesterday
okay?
when I sent, or was it yesterday? Monday, I think, when everything was sent out. Yes,
All right,
so, not trying to hide anything from you. Absolutely not.
But-
You ask me anything. I'm
Okay,
just assuming that if it says, you should assume that if Jill doesn't have a report, that she has not reported anything yet.
right, that may be true, but on the other hand, I think the public needs to know that we're not just ignoring that issue, that we could have in the minutes, there's been no progress on the Lakeview or this
I got
issue.
it.
You're saying, I assume that you're gonna go ahead and communicate with the attorney regarding whether we need an ordinance or not. I mean, I think,
Tom is, yeah.
Is Tom
Tom's the
doing that?
zoning guy, yeah.
I don't know whether you do it or Tom does it, but there ought to be, this has been going on for years. There ought to be in our monthly board meeting, an update on Lakeview. What is Tom or you doing?
And Tom tells me that when he has breakfast with you, that he told you, this is gonna be a long time.
Yeah.
So you already know that,
I know that, but I still want to report once a month. I want you to put on the agenda Lakeview, and there's been no progress.
okay, I'll always put something that says illegal, okay? As a line item.
Right, but I.
You want me
think
to do that? I can do that.
Yeah, and I think the public deserves that, not just the board.
Hey, Kathy. Okay, anything more about attorneys? Last, is, recognizing the contributions of Don Saffron, and I just thought, if anybody has ever been interested in looking up, any of the gravestones in this county and 2 other counties, he died in his 90s, and I'm not kidding, he's amazing. He and his wife took a picture of every freaking gravestone in 3 counties. And it's just an amazing thing he did. So anyway, he just died this fall and just,
Dog catcher?
Yeah.
was he the dog catcher
Yeah,
too?
over years.
That's why I know that name.
I guess I didn't know he.
He was amazing. He did his own database. He's a
Well,
wonderful guy. So I'll be writing a note to them, so.
Cool.
Public comment at this time.
One thing about the airport.
Yeah.
Me barricading the airport. What certain people don't know, because they're only getting tidbits. Dick Bear was sent a legal letter 2 years ago. About the property lines there, the survey pins marked. Originally, when they expanded the airport, they put that road through there, that's there, like the 2-track comes down Carlson Road. They run it through Madeline Appleton's property, which is now Pat and Tom Nice. Ended up being Fort. Airport lost, they had to terminate the road, that's why it won't come straight out. Well, then they jogged it over and then out and out. Well, upon us buying, my business partner, myself buying the farm on the other side of the road, we found out in 1976, when the road commission paved the road, they moved the road. So we actually own to the north side of the road. Cooper's property does not come to Carlson Road. We actually own to the north of the road, all the way up. In fact, the corner up behind Dan Kidder's house, we have 2.5 acres up in that corner up there, basically worthless. It's a pie-shaped hillside as you go up Carlson Road. That's ours.
I'm sorry, I'm just not familiar with any of that.
So down at the end of the old grass runway, there was a road coming through there. Well, it was getting to where people were driving in and out of there, then they started driving through Cooper's property. out into the hayfield, up through the woods. He was up here. The son was here just before Daryl died this last summer. 11 o'clock at night, you have people come driving through the yard shining deer. He says, enough. I want it blocked off. I don't want people driving through my damn yard all hours of the day and night. Because they weren't here very much last. Mark owns the house now, son. It was Daryl and Charlotte's. The son bought it last year. Well, nobody used it hardly. We got used like 4 times a year, basically to sit there. People got used to that. There's certain
Well-
people hang out over here that were coming in and out of there, breaking in there on a regular basis, whatever.
Is this something that is solvable? It's legally presentable to someone?
Well,
Could we
that's what I'm getting at.
maybe
Mike
send a
Fahey-
picture again? I mean, the,
Mike Fahey
Letter
sent
again?
a letter to Dick Bear, of which, and he sent it to the board also, stating that we own that property. Cease and desist for public use. It's not public use. We're not assuming liability for people, ingress, egress across it. Dick goes, well, we have to have access in case of emergency purposes. Mike says, okay, emergency purposes. It's barricaded with a rope, of which has had a rope with a snap on it by the airport for the last almost 23 years. Across the exact same spot.
okay,
But it
instead
was-
of going on with the details and stuff, I'm just saying,
So it is now roped off again.
can Mike send another letter?
I can
It
talk to him.
sounds like
He came up last
it
week. He's
isn't-
up here.
Yeah,
But Dick Bear and the board does have a legal letter on file stating that when that property is fenced, we will put a gate there to where they have access, but it's not gonna be public access. It will be for emergency vehicles and operations only,
okay,
plain and simple. I mean, it's not. So, but it's, everybody assumes, nobody wants to ask, they just want to assume and whatever. Another thing, like I said, Dick Bear in the airport did get a letter. It was supposed to be given to the board. It's in the minutes actually, here almost 2 years ago when it was sent. But there's a lot of things that have went to Dick Bear that other people on the board have never seen or heard. And I
Okay.
think this might be one of those things that this was like the wayside or whatever.
Okay, I
And
think 3
people-
minutes is, thank you.
no, you're not to do that. You did that the last time to him and it wasn't, I even had the time on,
So
So,
I mean, it is documented that why it's roped off, of which it has been roped off for years by the
Mhm.
airport. In fact, the airport's poles are still there.
okay.
The snaps of ropes are out, but there's new ropes and there's signs.
Get Mike to do it again, so that we can get this resolved. And we can get it off the report, so. Okay, any other public comment? Hi,
Fred McGill, Casey Road. Just real quick on the Herman property. Understand completely, nothing has been submitted. But I'm here, I represent our neighborhood and all the folks in the surrounding area. We are very concerned about it. You know, you guys have made it perfectly clear, Tom made it perfectly clear, nothing's been submitted. Completely understand that. And we hope that's the way it stays, but we are very concerned. Cause that is our neighborhood. We don't live down by the beach, although we're, talking to those people as well. You wanna know why we know things? I'm at home, I work remotely. I look out my window, I see the surveyors there. I live right above the red bar.
oh, okay,
So we know if something's going on there, we used to watch it for Joanne. And then we watched it for her son Michael after Joanne passed. We even kind of kept an eye on it for the new owner for the first month or two, and he said he was fine with that. Then this has all happened. Not that we don't keep an eye on it. If we see something, we know how to
Sure.
contact him. But we're very concerned. And so we're just keeping an eye on it. And, everybody is in lockstep on the communication. So I just want to let you know, because people say, how do they know what's going on? Well, last week, I'm working, I look out the window, there's surveyors. So,
okay,
Well, the board has limited, that's a planning commission issue,
right, and I
The
understand.
board, the planning commission is independent. They are the citizens of our township, and they have to evaluate everything, and then
Right. I just wanted to chime in because there was a little comment, kind of like, how do they know? So that's how, but Tom did a great job of explaining how things work to us at the last meeting and really appreciate that. So But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you, and it's nice to see your face here, so we appreciate you coming. Any other board, public comment? Board comment?
Did you want to bring it up, Judy? Did you want me to?
You.
So correspondence, we probably missed something pretty important to talk about or bring up because it is public and we should have acknowledged it.
Mm-hmm. Except that you said it was personal and
No, I
confidential.
was referring to the Tokyo that said that was personal and confidential.
Oh, you're talking about the actual statement. Okay,
Right. The complaint.
Yeah.
Right. So
The
for the
lawsuit.
record, yes, Crystal Lake Township did receive a complaint, from the United States District Court, Western District of Michigan, Johnny Ray McCall Jr. plaintiff versus Benzie County, Joshua Rubin, Crystal Lake Township, and Amy Ferris. And
so we're being, sued, three of us, entities.
there's,
Me as a person, we as a township, and then the county is being sued.
and then the deputy is being sued.
Well, it's kind of, aren't they suing the county because they're in charge of the deputy?
I don't know who should be discussing this
I
like
think it's
this,
kind of a bold thing. I think that's how it's working.
Well,
but there are
Because
certain
the
things.
County is in charge of that deputy and they should have reined him in. The deputy also had.
that's what they say.
standards that he could have, should have followed.
No opinions here, but just stating the facts that that's who's being sued,
Yes.
so. Any other board comment? All right, I think we're done. It's 10:09. Thank you very much.